Welcome back to the Executive Edge interview series, where we sit down with leaders who build real results under pressure and explore what leadership actually looks like when the stakes are high. I'm Nora Paxton, CEO, coach, leadership strategist, and advisor to founder and senior executive. I help leaders think bigger, lead more intentionally, and create lasting organizational impact. Today, I'm joined by Steve Hagen. Steve has invested more than 4 decades building winning culture at the highest level of football, including coaching in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets, as well as leading Division One programs at University of Notre Dame, University of North Carolina, and University of California, Berkeley. He currently serves as a head coach of the NFL Academy Europe, where he's shaping the next generation of elite talent on a global stage, guided by his core belief that winning is never accidental. What makes Steve's perspective especially compelling is how seamlessly he brings that championship blueprint in the business world. As an executive coach to C-suite leaders, he helps organizations drive accountability, elevate performance, and build value-based culture that execute when it matters most. Steve is also the author of Coach Them Up, a certified John Maxwell leadership coach and a Dave Ramsey financial coaching coach, equipping leaders with practical, field-tested principles that translate directly from the locker room to the boardroom. Steve, I am super excited to explore what leadership really looks like when winning is built by design, not chance. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. We're kind of on two edges of the planet. I'm in the UK and
Yeah,
you're in Seattle. It's 8 hours difference, I think. So
I
um,
know.
love having the opportunity to come on your show and teach a little bit more about leadership from my perspective, having been in a locker room and boardroom. I think the crossover is just so in alignment with what leaders need to do. I have a son and a son-in-law who own their own businesses. I'm constantly talking with them about that, and because they have employees that they have to lead, so I'm constantly talking to them. I also lead about 140 employees every day, so there's a lot going on here too. So
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being part of this series. So, Steve, you've coached across the NFL, college football, international leagues, and now the NFL Academy. From your perspective, what doesn't change about leadership, no matter what the level or the country?
That's a great question. I've lived in a lot of countries and I've lived in a lot of states and I've coached in a lot of environments. And I would say the common denominator that never changes is the leader, like I do, I say eliminate average every day. If we can eliminate average every day in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in our system that we're building, our social media, we try to be excellent. And just in that pursuit of eliminating average, and that's no matter where I've been, that's just the way we roll. And it's worked well.
So you've worked inside organizations like the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. What separates leader who survives at the highest level from those who actually elevate everyone around them?
I think the separator is we have five principles that we go on, but one I could say they're all very good, they're all very sound, but to never flinch because things change every day and it's so dynamic and there's so much pressure. And you just brought up the NFL, and we just watched the Super Bowl here this past weekend.
Okay.
There's very few places where you're on TV and your job is scrutinized like that uh, in front of millions of people. And to be able to make quick decisions that are on time, on target, like I say, and that you don't flinch and you live with it. And if that decision didn't work, you have to recalibrate and make the next one and just get better and better and better with your team. You have headsets on, you're talking to your team constantly and assessing the situation. We call it situational football. It's no different than when you're in a business and you may have to pivot
Yeah.
because it may happen differently. You're not in front of 86 million people on TV, but you still have to make those decisions and not flinch.
Yep.
And That's what I love that. That's an adrenaline rush for me. I love that.
I can see that. I can see that, Steve. One of the biggest leadership challenge today is succession, as you know. So, what does a great leader look for when he identifying the next great leader, not just the next top performer?
Yeah, the next great leader is that person that doesn't flinch under pressure. He or she also, like, I'll just go through my five principles and show
Yeah.
you how they all tie into what we do, no matter what the organization is. But I was talking about the team. The team comes first, and the next great leader will understand that, and all those decisions that he or she makes will be based on that team. Whether you're at Apple, you're at Google, or at the Cleveland Browns. The team comes first. But understand every decision we make has consequences. Every choice we make comes with consequences, and they will affect the team because we're all connected all the time. So if you and I are on a project in the team and I make a choice for our team, it's going to affect your too. It's going to affect your livelihood equally as much as it affects mine. And so know this. Also, the third principle of our five total is what's important now. It's an acronym for win, the word win. What's important now? We need to make timely, accurate decisions as best that we can do with the amount of knowledge and data that we have right now. And that allows us to get the next win, if you will.
Yeah.
With all that being said, everybody has to own their actions. So I made the decision, I got to own it. You make the decision, you have to own it. So, with all the data, all the systems, everything that we have in place, use all that to make an on time, on target decision. And then everybody has to own their actions. Once we've done all that, no one flinch. Just roll with whatever the result is. We may have to pivot, we may have to recalibrate, but understand this is the decision we made. It's all about our team. Know that we're all connected. Let's make this decision and go forward, not point the finger at one another, but let's point the finger at the future.
Yeah. Love these principles, Steve. So thank you for sharing. In your experience, what do people truly want or need from their leader, especially under pressure or uncertainty? What do you think, a little bit more precise, what do you think leaders often get wrong here?
Clarity.
Mm,
Clarity in my business, clarity is kind. I know this. This is what I know. If we don't win enough games, we're not going to have a job anymore. And I don't jump around or skirt around that issue. It's just there. And everybody knows this. So how do we solve that problem? Me as a leader, I'm very clear. I don't have to threaten. I don't threaten anybody. I just present them with the facts. If we don't win enough, if our social media is too off target, if our system isn't flowing properly, if it's confusing because the language we use is not on point and some people are somebody's maybe misunderstood or something, there's not that clarity. And I think leaders need to provide clarity so that everybody understands and everybody's in alignment. Like I say, I am the CEO, but I'm also the CAO, the Chief Alignment Officer, Chief Accountability Officer. And when I get everybody aligned and hold everybody accountable, things start to the trajectory of our business, because we are in the business of football or the business of sport, the trajectory starts to ascend in the direction we want to. Otherwise, if it's confusing, it slows us down, it makes us sluggish, our strategy's all out of whack,
hmm
and people are asking questions that they shouldn't even have been asking if I were clear. So
Yeah.
if, and I say this all the time, I say this to my coordinators, I say this to my coaches, if you want to fix the team, fix yourself first. Be clearer, be a better teacher, be more concise. And then your point is made, and then you hold everybody accountable to the vision and the points that are made.
Yeah. Love the title Chief Accountability Officer Alignment. I mean, it's a very important focus that we see lacking in many, many organizations. So you've coached players who are raw, who are talented and still forming their identity. How do you balance accountability with belief when someone hasn't fully proven themselves yet?
Well, you have to have a vision. for everybody, right? And so
Hmm.
there's excuses and there's explanations. And so we can say he hasn't developed yet, and maybe he hasn't. Or is he not doing all the things, whatever it takes to develop and to grow in that role, whatever that role is? And then we hold them accountable. Numbers matter, data matters, and we can define growth through those numbers and through that data. We have data too. We call it analytics. It's the same thing. Like, um, how many times are we completing this pass? And if so, why? And all these different analytics that go into the game, the sport, but it's the business of it. Every business has analytics. And so when we can hold people accountable to those numbers, because everything matters, everything matters. I say that all the time. I must say that 50 times a day here.
Yeah.
Everything matters. The way we line up, the way we talk, the way we teach, the way we catch it. Um, Everything matters. And so when I can hold people accountable to everything that matters, then we start to grow as a business. And so that's so important. And that's where clarity is kind. I always say that clarity is kind. Sometimes it doesn't feel kind. Coach Holtz, when I was working at Notre Dame, he would say, coaching's like medicine. Doesn't always taste good, but you need it.
Yes.
And so, I think coaching's that same way. Now, I got to be a good doctor to
Yeah.
bring out the good medicine, and then we go from there. But
Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk about culture now. Let's shift to culture and
yeah,
value. You've talked about building a comprehensive value system. How does values actually show up in a day-to-day behavior, not just on a wall or a playbook?
values show up like I have to be very transparent,
Yeah.
honesty, and again, it goes back to clarity. Clarity is honesty, right? So there's times I have to sit down with my coaches and say, hey, listen, this is on you. You have confused them because of the way you're teaching it, or you're not teaching it properly. And I have to hold the coaches accountable. I have to be honest. If I'm not honest, if I'm afraid to be honest with my basically people that I've employed, then they think they're doing the right thing. And I haven't held them accountable. I haven't called them out. I don't have to be mean. I don't have to be hard. I can just be very clear that this is what it's supposed to look like. But when I sit there and I listen to you talk, it's confusing to me. So how are they going to get it? And so I have to be very clear with them on what the vision is. And then we have to keep everybody in alignment with that vision. And they have to walk and run and go and pursue that vision. And so it
Mm,
starts with me. If you want to fix the team, you fix yourself first. So I fix myself. How do I fix myself? I have to be clear, and I have to be honest, and I have to be very straightforward and be truthful.
yeah.
That's a value. Truth is a value. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want to be confronted with the truth, because it could threaten their feelings, their emotions. They may feel like they're going to lose their job, but you'll lose your job if you don't know the truth and you continue on that path. Whereas if you know the truth and you know your boss knows the truth, then you can fix it or choose to fix it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And silence means that you're in agreement. Silence means that you're not putting you're not adding value into the
Right.
conversation into exactly. So how
So let
does
me interrupt real quick.
yeah, go
Silence is
ahead.
condoning. Silence to me is condoning what's going on. And if
Yes.
you allow average, like my job, eliminate average, right? If I allow average by not bringing up the truth, I condone average. And now that I've condoned it, basically I'm endorsing it. And I'm saying average is a good thing. That's pretty good because I never confronted it as the leader. Seeing that it's average, condoning it, now basically I'm endorsing it. And as a leader, if I endorse average, we all lose. The team loses. So I have to not be able to condone average, which is the same as endorsing it to me.
Yeah, I love the endorsement definition. So, how do leaders use value to control pace and decision making when things move fast or stakes are high?
Everything moves fast. Everything. If you think we're going to slow down because you're not ready, or we're going to, whatever, you're in the wrong mindset. The mindset is we go and you come along. This train is moving fast, and you got to be willing to jump on, pay attention, stay the pace of what we're doing. And if you can't get to the pace, we'll find somebody that can. But we'll help you. But no excuses, no explanations. This train moves fast. Business moves fast. Now with AI, it moves even crazy, so much faster with AI. And then competition has gone from, maybe here in AI to now it's like, and it's so much faster. So, like I tell my guys all the time, no excuses, no explanations. The game is fast. We have to process fast. I have to be very clear again. And our value is we move better than the pace that our competition does.
Yeah,
And if I personally hold those values intact consistently well, then everybody around me will as well, because they know the pace that I lead at. And if I lead and let things go, and lead like it's okay to be average, it's okay to show up at 9:15, when I said everybody needs to be in the office at 8:30. Just different things. It's okay. Social media. I've had social media posts that are just so far off track where I've had to make a call and just say, who is our target market? Who is our target market? I'm holding you accountable. I want to know the answer to that. And they'll say something, and I'll go, you don't know our target market. We've met and we've done this. And this last post that I just saw is so far off that you're going to throw us out of whack. And I
yeah,
shouldn't be having this conversation.
yeah.
So it all starts from the top.
And then this is why I love when you mentioned chief accountability officer, chief alignment officer. This is exactly why this role is very important, right? So during your time as a head coach of the Gelfi Firenze in the Italian Football League,
Yeah.
what did you learn about leading across culture that applies directly now to global organizations?
Lost in translation.
Oh, love it.
Your native language is French. We've
Yeah.
had conversations about this. My native language is English, but the English version that I speak is American, not the UK version where I live right now. So there's lost in translation. Even though I'm speaking English in England, it doesn't translate all the way sometimes. It definitely didn't translate in Italy when I was talking to my players. So we have to be very clear, get back on the same page, understand what we are exactly talking about, because some things can get lost in translation that can be very costly, very costly. And that happens in business, that happens in the business of football or sport. So there is a language that is spoken on every team, whether you're an Apple computer. If I went and sat at Apple Computer, for instance, and sat down with Tim Cook and his executives, they're speaking a language that I will have to learn and sit there and listen to them for a few hours or maybe a couple of days, just because of the language within their company, their business, as well as if he came and sat with me in my business. We all speak a version of English while we're doing this business, but what is actually lost in translation? What is gained in that relationship? So I love that question, because um, there is power in language. And when we use the same language and we all understand the concepts that we're talking about, the velocity at which we can move is so much faster.
Yeah, it's incredible. Exactly, speaking the same language. So, speaking of less language, I want to shift gear right now and talk about system and processes that really scale leadership. Uh, What, Steve, what systems or processes have you relied on most to lead effectively when you can be everywhere at once?
Well, that's when you hire trusted employees because I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be in every room everywhere at once. And so we have what we would call our staff meeting is an alignment. And so when I take my coordinators and I know what I want this to look like. I know what I want everything to look like on the football field. And I hold my coordinators accountable. And so
Mm.
we, this is different and very unique to the sport that I play. We film everything at practice from a couple different angles. And so there is a high level of accountability to the teaching that goes into that. And so we also film our meetings so I can tell what's being taught. Not that I need to micromanage everything, but I need to know that we are all in alignment all the time. And so it does hold my coordinators, my leaders accountable because then I can go back, which I do, and we watch the film together. And
Mm.
I start to hold them accountable by position. So the level of system that we have is I'm the head coach, the CAO, okay, chief alignment, chief accountability officer, with my coordinators underneath that. Underneath those coordinators are also assistant coaches. Underneath those assistant coaches are the players. So the accountability just rises to the top or trickles
Mm.
down from the top from me. I also have other departments. I have a medical department. I have a physical training department.
Hmm.
And then I have a football operations department and a scouting department. So there's a lot of things going on. I can't be in every one of those rooms, but I can hold my coordinators accountable to that.
Yeah. In business, I see a lot of leaders that are struggling letting go. Um, so, from your perspective, how do system help leaders trust their people without losing standards?
Well, I think I know it all comes from me, the top. And can they trust you? Are you clear? I'm clear with you. Are you clear with your level down? Or are you blocking is there something lost in translation? Are you not clear with them? Are you hiding? Are you not strong enough to be clear? You know, if I'm going to hold my coordinators clear or accountable, then the coordinators have to hold their people underneath them accountable. And then they have to be, so it has to permeate the whole culture. Clarity is kind has to permeate the whole culture.
Yeah.
Eliminate average has to permeate the whole culture. It can't just be that guy. It can't just be me. Or I'm the guy running around trying to fix everything, and I don't have enough fingers on both hands to fix everything. And
Yeah.
so, what I have to do is make sure that my people are doing the right thing. Here's the thing I'm very clear with them. And like I said, it's not a threat, but this is the standard. And this is how we need to roll because this is the standard that gets us towards the vision. Our vision is to win the championship. And in business, the championship is what are we going to do this quarter? What are we going to do this, semi-annually? What are we doing this year? And my accountability is to hold all our coordinators in alignment with the vision, and then the kids will jump into that, and that creates a culture where we know that this is the standard doesn't change just because you showed up or you don't want to do it or you're too afraid to confront somebody with the standard is the standard whether you want to like it or not or talk about it or not. It is the standard and this is how we roll, and I'm not going to move that standard down to lower it because it hurts your feelings or you can't produce at that level. We're always trying to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I always say in coaching is like if your system revolve around you and it cannot function without you, there's a problem in your leadership.
Exactly right.
Uh,
That's right.
so
That's why.
at the end of, yeah.
Well,
Uh,
that's why I was just going to reiterate. That's why it's so important that the vision and my system has to permeate the whole culture.
Exactly.
So I have team meetings regularly where the whole team hears my voice. I have staff meetings regularly where the whole leadership of the team, the coordinators of each department, hear my voice regularly. And I don't
Mm,
waver from the standard. And I don't waver from the five pillars, knowing that what you do in the medical department affects the team because we're all connected. What you do over there does not go unseen. We're all connected all the time. So what's important in your office is equally as important in my office over here because the team comes first. And so when they understand the pillars and the language of our team, they all start to the culture starts to move the team in the right direction. I have had people that didn't buy in, and I've had
yeah.
to eliminate average, and I've done that. That's not my favorite part of this job, but I understand that the team comes first, not the person that's average that I have to eliminate. And the
Yeah.
reason I have to eliminate you from the team is because you're performing average. You're not doing what the team needs, like speaking clearly, speaking honestly, confronting people with um, what they need to be confronted with, or awarding people for bringing great value to the team, because
Yeah.
sometimes our egos get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, thank you, Stephen. Speaking of developing people, at the NFL Academy, you're developing talent for the future of the sport. So, what system ensure consistency while still allowing individuality and creativity?
I never want to steal anybody's personality away from them. I'm not trying to make robots. We're not a production. I think everyone brings value. And
Yeah.
the unique thing about the business I'm in is there are so many different positions to play, just like in any business. There's departments in each business, and within those departments, there are players in those departments, and they all have their own personalities and bring those. So I never want to steal anybody's joy or their personality, but they need to know that the standard is the standard, and they're always going to flow with that. So our systems are like this is what I say when we bring in a player like you just suggested, a young player. We have a paradigm that we live by here, and it's smart, fast, physical, fundamental football players that do whatever it takes to win and leave no doubt. So it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of words and a lot of action, but we're looking for smart team players, kids
Mm,
that can process, coaches that can process, leaders that
mm,
can process under pressure, under the lights, on time, on target. So we're looking for smart. We're looking for fast, because if you're smart, you can be faster because you'll play unsaddled. You'll just cut loose. So now, can we build your speed? Yeah, we can by teaching you better and testing you. Teach and test. We constantly are teaching and testing. Okay. And a test in business is we give someone a task. How quickly do they process that task and bring it back consistently well done? Not well done, but consistently well done, because we're going to give you the next task and the next task. And if you consistently outperform the last time, that means you understand how to process this game, whatever this game is that we're playing. Okay. So smart, fast, physical. How well can you do this? How consistently well can you do this? And again, it goes back to film. I get to watch every step they make on film. And I get to
mm.
see, are you smart? Are you processing the play, the game? Are you executing well, consistently well? Are you doing it at top speed? Or our doubt is a heavy load. And that's why I say clarity is kind, because I do understand doubt is a heavy load. In business, it's the same thing. If I'm giving somebody and they're confused because the language is lost in translation, or they just don't understand, they're doubting what the vision is, what the process is, what system is, what do we do? It just slows the whole thing down. And
Yeah.
so doubt's a heavy load. And I want to eliminate all doubt. Doubt
Yeah.
is average, below average. And I need to eliminate doubt. So I get smart, fast, physical football players. A football player is somebody you look at, like you went over to the University of Washington and you were like, man, I don't know how much football you know on a grand scale from 0 to 100, but you can look out there and go, man, that guy can play football. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for: smart, fast, physical, fundamentally sound football players that are built within our system. They know the standard, what it looks like to do what we're asking them to do. That's our standard. And then they do whatever it takes to win. They go find the answer, they go get the answer, they make the answer happen. And all is proven on film. And then they leave no doubt. And the way they can do that is by proving that they can answer this consistently well, quickly. They process this. And so when I have a team full of those type players, that's our system. And what we've done is held everybody to that standard where they're smart, fast, physical, fundamental football players that do whatever it takes to win and leave no doubt. I hold my leadership to that. Are you smart?
Yeah.
Are you doing this consistently well, fast? Are you doing all these things? And are you leaving no doubt? Or am I going, now, why is this happening again? I mean, I'm still doubting what we're doing over here in this department.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to hold people accountable to that. When the whole system flows like that, you have a culture that is on fire because there's no one. Then, like for instance, when I have to eliminate average, everybody knows who's average because they all look around and they know they're not the guy that's average, or they look around and go, "Whoa, I'm a little behind in the program here. I need to get my act together." So
Yeah.
when I can permeate a culture, permeate my team with that, that becomes the culture. That becomes the standard. And every time I flip on the tape, honestly, every time I flip on the tape, I'm like, see this right here? This is a smart, fast, physical, fundamental football player right here. This is what it looks like to do this. This right here, this guy, number 61, does he look confused? Why? Yeah, he's stepping the wrong way, coach. Well, the play's going this way and he's stepping that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you screw up the whole team when you do that. So
Love
these
it.
these five pillars and five principles and the smart, fast, physical, fundamental, that that has built our culture, and that has taken us from playing. Before I got here, they didn't. I'm not going to pat myself on the back too hard, but they didn't have that kind of a culture because they didn't grow up the way I grew up in some of the. I grew up in the Lou Holtz system.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother ball game, right? That's like the Nick Saban, the modern day Nick Saban system. And
Mm.
when you're held to those, when you're held to those standards on a daily basis, that's who you become. That's who you become. That's your life. If you can't become that, you go find another place, or they find another place for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And so, which leads me to, before we wrap up, something that I actually enjoy talking about is about legacy and leadership impact. And looking back across your career, Steve, including the NFL, the college football, and now the international coaching, what tells you that you've led well? What's the real scoreboard for leadership?
When you get texts that say something like this on them, that say, "Great job, coach."
Yeah.
We took a kid that never ever played football before, and now he's on a full ride scholarship at the University of Tennessee, and he only was with me for 18 months because we got him in this system, we got him in this standard, and we didn't waver. And he wanted to quit, and he wanted to tap out, but now I get a voicemail back from him. I wish I could play it on here for you,
Yeah.
but we get a voicemail. I get a voicemail from him he's at the University of Tennessee now. And he's like, "Coach, they can't believe how much I know coming from where I came from." And and so that just validates that what we're doing is the right thing. How does that
Yeah.
relate in business? Somebody goes off to another company and they take that same kind of system, they take that same kind of structure, and they rebuild that at the other company, or they choose to start their own company. and they rebuild it, and it just ignites and it just accelerates and goes off with the velocity and the trajectory that you would want if you started your own company, because you've put your systems in place. You're clear, you're honest, you keep a standard, and you have no problem telling everybody that works with you, for you, and around you what the vision looks like, and you hold them accountable to that. And when you see that become successful on different, think of Nick Saban right now. Just think of Nick Saban. I think all four teams that were in the final four of the National Football Playoffs to play for the championship were former coaches of Nick, of Coach
Yeah.
Saban. All four of those guys, which is phenomenal. And the two
Mhm.
that played in the championship, those two both worked for Nick, obviously, because the four going in did. And it got down to the two, Miami and Indiana. Those two, and they took Coach Saban's principles, but then they also used their own personalities to develop their own standards on their own clubs. But ultimately, they're in the family tree of Coach Saban. And I'm in the family tree of Lou Holtz. So it's been a blessing.
Oh,
Because honestly, Nora, when I coached for him, this standard was out the roof. I know I'm wearing my Notre Dame hat right now, just
yeah.
coincidentally. But when I had a chance to work at Notre Dame, he was like, "We're playing for national championships here. Do you understand that? Does everybody in this room understand that? That is the standard. It's not
Yeah.
less than that. And what it takes to play and win a national championship is like, whoa, it's way out of the roof. And so, talk about the chief accountability. I mean, I sat in those rooms, I sat in those meetings, and so I
Yeah.
was lucky to absorb that stuff. And now I get to go teach coaches and teach leaders and teach businesses that this is important. Unless you
Yeah.
don't care about winning, if you just want to flop around and be average, then do it that way. But if you want to win in your business, you can pour all the money you want into it. But if you can't lead well, you just wasted a whole bunch of money. If you
Yeah.
can't hold people accountable, if you can't be honest, if you can't be clear, you just wasted a lot of money. And that's why this is it's a money business. Any business you're in is a money business. This football business is a money business, but above and beyond, it's a people business.
It's a people business. I love it. First of all, I love your passion. So, if you could leave leaders listening with one mindset shift about developing people, what would it be?
I keep it really simple. Leaders lift. You
Ah,
lift you lift the emotion of the team, you lift the emotion of the room, you lift the business to another level, you lift the emotions. A good value, transformational, value driven leader lifts everything, lifts it all. Leaders lift, great leaders lift. And I've been blessed.
well, I am blessed to listen to you. You know what I love about you, Steve, your journey is that it reminds us that leadership isn't about control. It's about preparation, preparing people for moments, levels, and responsibility that they have not reached yet. Steve, what an honor to have you today. This conversation has been such a powerful reminder that leadership, whether on the field or in the boardroom, isn't about charisma or control. It's about clarity. And I love that you say clarity is kind, standards, and the discipline to build systems that develop people long after the leaders step out of the room. Your perspective reinforces something that I see every day with executives. The strongest leaders don't chase result. They create environment where accountability, trust, and performance become the norm. So thank you from the deep of my heart for sharing the lessons you've learned across decades of coaching, across cultures, across levels of pressure. The work you've been doing to develop those leaders, not just the player, is making such a real impact. And to everyone watching here, leadership is never accidental. It's built, practiced, reinforced, one decision, one conversation, one standard at a time.
Right.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Winning is never accidental.
Yeah.